Oh, come on. Oh, there we are. Perfect.
She's not.
Yeah. That's it.
Hole there.
Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Amy, would you,
Okay, I'll start with the park board meeting norms. Please raise hand and wait to be called on by board president, Mr. Ballard, before making any statements or asking questions. I'll go ahead and do roll call. Richard Ballard. Okay, Tom Bush.
Here.
Sam Byer, not here. Davidson.
Here.
Teresa Trout. Here.
okay. First thing on my agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 9th regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes, or is there any discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. David made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Teresa made a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we have, excuse me, Mr. Klein from Doral Solar. Just gonna speak to us.
Good evening. My name is Chris Klein. I'm with Doral Solar, Doral Renewables. We're the company that built Mammoth North Solar here in the southern part of the county. And currently building Mammoth South and Central in Pulaski. I live just over the border in Marshall County, and have been with Doral for a year. When I started, there was some discussion with my colleagues that there had been some informal discussion in the past with Starke County residents and some local officials about potentially the need of a second pump system for Bass Lake to keep the lake levels up. And there's some, back and forth with the attorneys and such, and it appears now that issue is no longer a need for the county. That lake actually the levels are pretty good. That the need for a second pump is not a priority. However, our company is committed. We at that time had talked about supporting that project as a community, being part of the community, and so we still want to support the parks, and that's what the MOU, memorandum of understanding, that you have a draft of it there in front of you is about. It basically says commits us over the next to a $60,000 donation to the county park system over the next 15 years. So it'd be a $4,000 a year donation. It commits us to doing that for whatever purpose the county park system needs. So this is some good news, right? This is some, and you guys can use the money however you see fit, for whatever purpose, at least as we've drafted it here. If you want to try it to incentivize other private donations with it, use it as a match or whatever, all that stuff's up to you. But the purpose of this MOU is basically to say we're making this commitment. The second pump is in the rearview mirror, and just to basically make that statement. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know if you want to look at it and read through it. Maybe we can come back next month and approve it or whatever you want to do.
Okay. Well, I think everyone's had a chance to look at this, right? Go over. I think we're in a position we can approve it right now, right?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
David makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll make some second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We want to thank you very much.
Yeah, no.
We really appreciate it.
No, it's,
Yeah, the only thing I would suggest for this too, though, is that we maybe run this past Justin and make sure which account this money should go into from our end.
Sure.
So that we're putting it in the right
yeah,
place.
so, and then let me know that and we can set that up with,
Right.
to make sure, yeah, that's key here. It's coming to you guys. It's
Right.
not going.
That's why I wanna make sure that
General
we're
fund and
Right.
it gets,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Super.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bass Lake Beach and Campground renovation update.
Mhm. Well, there's not a lot to share. But Brown and Brown was there today working on some of that siding that was an issue, and they are planning to be back tomorrow. I think the rest of the week, but I know that he said on Friday that they were gonna have a whole crew to work on the doors and all the things, the big things left. But I think at least one guy's gonna be there the rest of the week, and then on Friday there'll be a whole crew of people, and then after they complete the things on the punch list, then I think Krista has a chance to come back again. But I don't know what we do, or, I mean, I haven't never been through this before, so I know the DNR is coming for their final inspection on October 25th.
I don't know if anyone, the public knows what we did, but Troyer was the group that was to plan the renovation, and they were kind of our general contractor. They were the ones that were gonna make sure that everything was done properly and all. And then Brown and Brown was the construction company that we hired to do the renovation. And what we're talking about is we decided to withhold the final payment until everything is completed and done the way it's supposed to be done. And there were certain things that weren't quite done right or finished. And so that's where we are. We're trying to get the renovation completed and brought to a completion. But we can't do it until all these little items that didn't get done like they should have are cleaned up and done properly. So that's what we're talking about. Okay. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about that, but that's where we are, just so you understand. Okay.
So, I guess what I would suggest is if when Krista comes out and does her final inspection of things, either the superintendent or member of the board also kind of be along and see how that goes.
Yes, Rick and I will both be there, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't asked him yet, but he will, I'm sure, be there.
Okay.
Okay. Bass Lake Campground Electric update.
Well, okay, so we talked last month, we talked about getting that study, the RFP study, which you guys, we did kind of talk about going ahead with, but in the last month, things have changed. So basically, I asked Jean Pugh to be here to help me get through this, talking about the electric. So, there are a lot of issues, with the electric, and so now I think we're at a place where we just need to decide multiple things. How we're going to fix it, in what fashion, in what order, and who's gonna do that, and do you need the study, do you not need the study, can you just get bids, to do it maybe a one roll at a time?
So let's maybe back up a little bit. This went, your guys' proposal went in front of the commissioners and that was approved 2-1. And then it went to the council and the council came up with a new idea to do some sort of a design build and get proposals that way. At the last commissioners meeting, it didn't seem like there was agreement there on how that should proceed and whether doing this design build was appropriate. So it kind of put us in a point of how do we deal with this going forward? And one idea that's been bandied about is maybe we make this a little smaller. Go a row or two at a time for each of the campers, the one that is of the most concern. So that we can at least get some prices from local electrical contractors to do a row at a time and how much that would cost for each row. At least to get a general idea of where we're at.
Thank you.
And that's the way I'd like to, if the board
Yeah.
wanted to do that and move forward.
I'd like to hear from Gene on what the actual situation is at the electrically.
Well, we were asked to take a look at it, and I'm not an electrician. But I can read, and so based on the NEC, which is the National Electric Code, is we opened up several boxes at the campground and found 100-amp breakers feeding terminals with 50 and 30-amp receptacles using number 6 aluminum wire, which is only rated for 40 amps max. And so you're going through a 100-amp breaker, which will not trip. So with a 50 and a 30, so you're overloading the wires. So that's a huge concern. At this point, they've had overheating problems out there with this stuff, and now you don't know the integrity of the wire. Was it overheated to the point that the coating is no longer as good as it should be? So there's it's just been added on to so many times, and I would hesitate to say there's probably original wiring from the original construction in there. And so that's just, that's the basic, what we found during the first investigation. And then Darren is electrician. I'm not. He came out on the second visit out there, and we looked at some more things, and he agreed. It's just overloaded. The system's overloaded because now you have, when this was built, there was no campers that had air conditioners. There were very few. Now you have campers with 2, 3 air conditioners on.
So to me, the only way that, from a park board perspective, that we should approach this is to get some electrical contractors out there to give us prices on, especially that first box that has like 28 on there, to get some prices to do a row at a time to see kind of where we're at. Because from my view of the park board, we don't have the funds to do all of it, but we also want to make sure that it's safe out there. So to have a real electrical contractor come and give us some estimates.
You have to have an electrical contractor registered in the county.
Right, to give us some
But
estimates.
we're all looking at let's keep this thing open. How do we do that?
Right.
Well, Darren says the first thing you need to do is get rid of those 50-amp receptacles. You can't keep feeding 50 amps on a number 6 aluminum wire.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I just disagree with that, but I'd like to get electrical contractors from the county out there and look at it and give us an overall understanding of what they see and what's going on so that we can address it moving forward. And at least get an idea of what the prices are to do it a row at a time, because the other thing I also kind of came to the understanding of is the county doesn't have the money to do all of it at one time. So if we at least approach it for the ones that are the biggest concern first and look at it and kind of get an idea where we're at, that's the way I would recommend that we approach it.
If you have time to take a look at the Easy Camps up on 30,
Mhm.
their new addition to
Mhm.
their campground. I just went up and looked at their new electrical installation for the addition to the campground, and they have a new switchgear there, and they have sub panels going off.
And when was that put in?
I just now went up and inspected last week the electric there, and so I suspect this winter or spring, they're gonna start working on it.
Well, maybe we can get some idea of
But
who did that and get
I'm
some
certain you could get some, look
ideas.
at it, some costs and see how it's supposed to be put together.
Right.
But I can tell you that the meter panels are anywhere from $300 to $500, the meter pedestals.
Yeah.
With the meter, the 50-amp and 30-amp and 110, you can look online and they're anywhere from $300 to $500 each, depending on.
Right. Well, that's why I think we'd like to at least try to get an idea of row by row, what it is gonna cost and see how much we could fund ourselves, how much we'd have to go to the county for and ask them for additional funds, that kind of thing. At least we have an estimate. Right now, we don't have any of that, so we gotta start somewhere. And actually, the discussion of this originally came up from getting some folks wanting us to do meters for all the sites. That's how it kind of started. It didn't start with, hey, there's a big electrical problem out there, we need to fix it. Other than the fact that everyone knew that the electrical out there was pretty old and that it was, having some issues through summer and.
Yes.
Obviously, you won't have this fixed by next summer.
Sure.
So will you stop campers from using overloading
Yeah.
the circuits and stuff?
Well, I'd like to at least get an idea of, we should be able to fix some of it between now and then and kind of deal with that question first before we deal with the other things, but.
I do a lot of camping in state parks throughout the year. I've been to a lot of them, anyway. And most of them, most all the state parks, now some of the newer ones have the better service, but most of them have just 30 amp.
Yes.
You don't get the option of
Mhm.
50.
And then you can get like a converter or something, or?
Well, and one of the things we'll talk about later in the permit application is one of the areas that to get more information that has been suggested in there, whether it's not been approved yet, but to have each camper list what their amperage is off of their vehicle and get an idea of what is all out there first for the people that are coming in.
Add it to the contract.
Well, that was what we had discussed, it just hadn't been approved, that's one of the things that we were looking at.
Anyway, it's gonna be a big project and we're just now getting started on it and I don't know where we're gonna go with it. But it's something that has to be done.
So maybe if we could get some quotes from the electrical contractors for our next meeting, it'll at least give us a starting point.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you don't get this done by next summer, will you be
When you say
paying?
get this done, what does this mean? All the thing, all of the electrical infrastructure?
Let me take the whole thing in. If the people have put in oversized breakers, are you gonna have an electrician come in and put the right size breakers back in so they don't overload the system anymore?
Well, to me, instead of trying to estimate or trying to guess at what everyone's doing, I'd rather have an electrical contractor.
That's what I
out here.
mean, so he could,
But that's what I think our direction was to Amy is to go get quotes from folks to be able to upgrade those existing rows. And then how do we deal with it? And if we don't have the money to do that, what's the next best thing we can do to mitigate it? That'd be my suggestion.
Yes,
Just
sir.
a quick question. You guys have looked at this and is there a segment or an area that's a priority that you would recommend that 1, 2, and 3, like, okay, this road needs to be done and this box needs to be done? Has that been identified? I guess
Well,
to make this simple.
At least when I think the one that was the most concerned is the box that's right off of the bathrooms and it has the first 28 campers on it. That was the one I thought people said was the biggest concern. I mean, there are other ones, but that's
I defer to Darren.
that's where it sounded like
Electrical contractor will evaluate for you where they see
the biggest problem.
the risks
Right.
Okay.
at. Me personally, if I was out there, if it was my job to do, there are enough pedestals out there that have been incorrectly adapted. They've been, jury-rigged back together with things added to them that shouldn't have been added, that are now the wrong size for the wiring. The pedestals out there, they have the boxes on the front covers. That limits access to that meter pedestal. You can't just be screwing boxes to meter pedestals and call that code. That's a code violation. And there's dozens of those. There's other ones that are leaning and loose and the bases of them are starting to rot out. If it were my job to do, my first thing would be is fix the safety problems, be it if breakers need to be readjusted in order to balance the breaker size to the wire size, which is going to be an inconvenience for campers temporarily because they're going to be losing total amount of amperage. My suggestion would be is I would replace the pedestals with new pedestals, and the pedestals that I would want to use come a full upgrade in the future so that way you're not paying to do things twice.
Right.
You know, if you want to provide 50 amp, because so many campers are 50 amps now.
Yeah, I
We
would
have to
think that's
provide the
where,
public
yeah.
with the campsites that they're looking for, right? You don't have the wiring there, but I would buy those pedestals anyways, and they'll come in a configuration of a 50 amp outlet, a 30 amp outlet, and a 20 amp 110 outlet. Just blank off the 50 amp for right now, and just use the 30 amp because that's the wiring you have available. Then in the future, when things do get rewired, you just put the 50 amp outlet in the new pedestal. And then that way you're not going out there trying to repair a bunch of stuff, and then next year you have to go out there and tear the stuff you repaired out and put a new pedestal in. Just swap them out, put new ones in, try to balance out as best you can the breakers with the appropriate size wire and fix the safety issues first. That would be my first step. Even if you have to go to the county and pay for some of that. Me personally, my feelings as a contractor is there has been a lot of stopgap measures done out there. Oh, this broke, let's fix it. And then Tuesday we'll come back and finish it. And then Tuesday never came. And so there's been a bunch of stuff that's been bolted back together over the years that should have never been left the way that it is. And in my opinion, the county is in part responsible for that.
To clarify and confirm, you're saying take care of safety issues first, right? Look at funding some of the pedestals first.
Right.
What would be your third recommendation? I'm just trying to give her some
Well,
direction to kind of, this is the path you need to take.
right now, there's the old wire that's in the ground. We don't know what the condition of that wire is. The original panels that are out there, the brown painted panels, which being painted brown, I assume were put in by the state when the state ran it. Those are not even outdoor panels. Those are indoor panel boards. They're not rated for outdoor use. And they're missing plugs on them everywhere. Those got to come out and go away. Now, back up to the study, doing the study, which was the engineering study. The advantage to the engineering study is that if you had an engineering design that all contractors are bidding from, you're sure that you're comparing apples to apples to apples. Okay, because they're all bidding from the same paperwork. On a design build, you can save that money. You can save that $17,000 and just do a design build. But then it's on you guys to make sure that you're forcing enough information out of the contractor that you understand what it is that they're giving you.
right, but the problem to me, just from hearing the conversations with the design build, is that the council folks think that's a fine and dandy way to approach it, and the commissioners say absolutely not. So there's disagreement there within the county that we have
Well,
to
that's-
deal with. And that's why I think we're at least recommended that Amy take the approach. Let's get an electrical contractor from the county out there, take a look at it. I don't have any problem with your suggestion of looking at the safety issues first and then doing it row by row. What would it cost us to at least get some general estimates on how to approach that? That's what I would recommend.
If I hate to make suggestions, I mean, you guys are the board, you're the decision makers. If it were me, I would make like a 3 or a 5 year plan of this is what we want to do this year. Next year, we'd like to have the money to do this. The year after that, we'd like to have the money. And talk to the electrical contractors about, because like David originally felt that this whole thing needed to be done all at once. Okay. After looking at it, it can be split up into pieces. You could do the service at one time, the pedestals at a different time, the sub panels or grouped meter pedestals at a different time. You could do each of those things in a different year. But you do need to first get the contractors up, tell them what your overall plan is.
Right.
You know, this is what our long-term goal is. We want enough service. We want individually metered campsites. You know, and 50 amp or either for all or half or 2/3, whatever you guys decide. Make sure they understand that plan and then let them design what.
Or give us an estimate on what they think that's
Right.
gonna cost, right?
Yeah, you just gotta make sure that they understand and then let them split it up the way that they feel that that makes sense. You know? My suggestion was probably a more expensive one. That was.
I'm just gonna say it again, it's a matter of record. Talk to Kathy Norm, she's the one that led it. She had a study done for the electrical on that park several years ago. I don't remember if she was a commissioner or on the board, but the report came back in order to do it all new on the campground side was $250,000.
That's all completely new.
That's been on.
Seen it, so I.
It seems like a very, very, very affordable price.
Yeah.
That was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
The figure was out.
We just have, as a board, we just have to start with step one.
To start.
Right.
Safe,
Your ideas, yeah.
that's the safety stuff.
Right, but I don't, that was a good suggestion to start with the safety stuff first.
I agree.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys.
I don't know what this next.
Oh, okay, I forgot a word.
That's what I was
Six
confused.
pier installation.
Oh, okay.
So we had talked before about how, trying to bid the pier process in the fall and have it start with removal and then go that way. So I asked Joel if he would give us a quote for only doing spring installation for 2026, and then we can start rebidding it in the fall. And his quote for
Actually, we would start bidding it in the summer next year for the fall renewal and
okay.
installation. But we can talk about at that time, doing it for multiple years instead of just
Yes.
1 year at a time.
Okay, so for his quote for spring, this next spring's price for the work would be $6,300. Which was a little bit up from what it was this year, but not much.
Different.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, I think so. So I would make the motion that we, in order to be able to get on the takeout, put in cycle so that we can bid out multiple years next year, that we award put in this spring of 26 to Joel, the person who's been responsible for it so far. For the price of.
To be for Johnson and Son
Yeah,
Piers.
Johnson and Son Piers for 63.
Okay,
Go to bid?
No, it's like renewing a contract.
Oh, okay.
okay. Thomas made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
David seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll let Joel know about that.
Okay. The next item is the Bass Lake Campground 2026 seasonal camping permit tentative vote. And we've all got a copy of that. Is there a motion to approve that permit?
Should I go through some of the things?
Yeah, what do you got, baby?
Okay, so here's
the highlights.
the main changes, I guess, would be that the permit holders now would become 2 adults and up to 4 minor children or grandchildren. That's a little bit different. Not much. Everything pretty well stays the same, but I requested to the board to do a deposit for renewal, which would then be due November 15th of 2025 of $200. And then the board in the we kind of talked about, and I'll probably let you guys talk about how we came to the prices we came to this year. So we came up with 3,100 if paid in full, $3,300 if paid into installments. And I'll let you guys explain that.
So at least from my point of view, the other board members can speak for themselves. The last increase that was done out at the campground was in 2023. And it was raised from 2,300 up to 3,000. But then we gave a break for if you did it all in one payment, you could pay 2,800, and it's been that way for the last 2 years. So we thought it reasonable, or at least I did, to do about a 9.3% increase for next year. And then start realizing things. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of costs have gone up over the years, and we're looking at making sure that we can keep up with the NIPSCO bills and the other bills as well. But obviously, part of the we already went towards that, but we thought that, at least I thought that this increase was reasonable. The other board members could speak for themselves.
So it would go to having a deposit due November 15th, that was non-refundable for $200, which would be go toward your rent. So if you paid, I had it as February 1st paying, you would pay all in full then at $2,900, or split the payments up, one to be due February 1st and the second to be due April 1st. And I looked at other campgrounds, and that's the generally people are paid in full by the time it starts. So that gets us on track with that. And I tried to keep it enough away from Christmas as I could, basically. So that's where that's the biggest change. Nothing, I kind of separated it out so it's more clear each section. So a few little changes might be in number 9 to site conditions and maintenance. Not too much different till you get down to outdoor lights, air conditioner, other electronic devices must be on a timer or solar powered. It is not permissible to leave air conditioners, other devices running unless occupied, with the exception of refrigerators and freezers. So that might help a little bit if we can get everybody to use timers or solar. And no Airbnb, that wasn't in the contract before, but no one did that. I'm just covering us. So there was one land dispute that was in a different part of the campground, but I think that we now just say the sites are from pedestal to pedestal. And so you keep your things on your site unless your neighbor is cool with you, the way you guys been doing things. So I just kept it like that in here, but that's different. That's really all that's different in that area. I added a courtesy and quiet time, so it'd be after 11 and then to 8 a.m. Yeah. So we can be more intentional about that. I mean, it's not new that we can't dump gray water onto the ground. That's prohibited. That's not new. Hydro flush tank cleaning will be allowed as long as it's not put on the ground, basically. Everything's the same, still get the $100 off for the boat slip. Same for common areas. The internet, okay, so I've called MediaCom, we've tried to have Stanley out. So basically, the internet, we're still gonna have, I'm still gonna pay the MediaCom. We have to, we're locked in. So, and I think Stanley has a plan to make it better, and he's waiting. He said it will take a week of everyone being without internet. But I went ahead and put it in the contract that because due to environmental factors that we can't guarantee it. We're gonna try to make it better, try to make it work. Pet policy is the same. Nothing different. Winter storage, the board asked to go up $50, but that would that would have to be then for the next year, not this year, obviously. And nothing really different. I don't see anything different in the contract there. That's basically, that's the things that are different.
The only other thing that we added was on the front page for each of the campers to identify the amperage that
Yes,
their unit.
I tried to put all the information on the front page. You could just pull it off and then send, that's all you have to do and send it back and make it a little simpler.
It's just listed, that's so we know what it is.
When's it deposit due?
November 15th, if
Anyone,
the board votes on it.
anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, that, I want to clarify that some people might not understand that their camper has a 50 amp service, a 30 amp service, not to what they're drawing now. If you're wanting to know what's the maximum capability of that service,
Good point.
Oh.
it's either 50 or 30.
That's a good point.
There's any 110 besides tenors now. But that might give you a issue there, clarifying that for some people.
So do I leave it on there? or-
So I would leave it on there and just say the maximum amperage that your unit can pull.
Okay.
Was there another question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on the storage and the deposit. Do you want two separate checks or one check is good? Fiscally or financially, I don't know how you want to track that.
Could be on one. As long as I know what it's gonna be, I can easily separate that in my papers.
I know with the auditor, that may be an issue.
Say if it's a check, just make sure you put in the note.
Oh, yeah.
That whole deal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna vote on it and then tentatively vote on it and then send it to our attorney, and if he approves it, then it'll take effect. So is there a motion to tentatively adopt the contract?
I'll make a motion that we accept the 2026 seasonal camping permit.
Teresa made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second it. All in favor?
Aye. And that's also based on Justin reading it,
Right.
approving it. And
Right.
Let's count it to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, I'm up. So the Starke County Forest was mowed a total of 4 times this year by Two Brothers Tree Service. September was the last time for this year, but I don't know if that'll be different next year if it rains more. So Bruce and I kind of talked about, we're just keeping track, but that's what I just letting you guys know, that's what they did this year. Russ and Diana Blaze donated 2 benches in honor of Diana's parents who have lived at Bass Lake for many generations. So they gave us 2 benches for out there, and I see them being used all the time. The benches were made from recycled plastic lids, and the Prairie Trails Club is currently collecting lids for more benches along the Starke County portion of the Erie Trail. So if anybody collects lids, now we have a place to give them. We've hosted several successful events at Bass Lake in the last month. We had a potluck dinner and DJ for our seasonal campers in September. There was a lot of good food and a fun time was had by all. We hosted a DNR Wonders of the Wetland Educators Workshop. It was attended by teachers, Starke County and LaPorte County Soil and Water employees, USDA and DNR employees, and myself, and it was very interesting. I learned a lot. It was a free workshop put on by the DNR to earn points toward recertifying your professional license. I learned the guy from the DNR is a maintenance guy, and they have to renew they have to have a professional license as well. So I would like to teach some of the lessons that we practiced and learned about somewhere on one of our properties for field trips. That's kind of, somewhere I'd like to take that. So we'll keep our eyes on that. And then finally, we had a small fundraiser event this Sunday evening called S'mores and Bonfires on the Beach. We sold s'mores kits, hot chocolate, coffee. We had a bake sale and silent auction, and we raised $453. I used some of the money we raised from the luau to purchase 6 fire pits, and we can use them every year. And Bev and I were kind of thinking we might even be able to rent them maybe next year for people to use on the grass part of the beach. And I kind of like to think of all the money we're raising at these events to put back toward other events and just keep it like going like that. Mhm. And then the only other thing is that Teresa and I will be doing the Sheriff's Department trunk or treat on October 30th, if anybody wants to join us.
Yeah, I know it was great. I attended the s'mores. I didn't have any s'mores, but my grandson sure got to. So it was a great event. It was a decent turnout.
Mhm.
Perfect day for it.
Yeah, the weather was literally perfect.
There he is.
Mhm. Okay, so financial report, these are in your packets. So I'll just read it out for the room. We're always we started out being allocated $217,000, but we got an extra 100 in the spring when we tacked on for the roof and the gas. So our allocated budget is 317. It won't be that much next year, probably. We brought in 4,760 just for September, and we spent 19,458. So we were under a little, again. But for our year to date, so up to today's date, we've brought in $379,137. We've spent $241,000, and so we still have $137,899 in our cash reserves. Beach entry, we took in 15,387, so that's a done deal. Now on piers, we've taken in 68,800, but that number will go up with storage. And then campground so far this year, we've done 158,000. And that number will go up as well with storage fees. So that's where we're at on our finances.
Okay. Any other business? No? Okay,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll make some motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Dave seconds, all in favor?
Aye.